Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Oak Tree.
Grif.
Baka.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
How's it going?
It's going.
Doing well.
I mean, we weren't here last week, and then Oak was absent the week before that, so I assume we have, stuff and things. Just saying.
To talk about? Maybe.
Just a little bit.
Just
I mean,
a wee bit.
hopefully we will, because there's not a ton of news, but that's okay. I don't have anything really big important to talk about. I've been game
It's like
hopping.
9 articles.
Yeah, but some of them
Four
are
from
5
the week
seconds.
before and 5 from this week.
Yeah, some of them are 5 seconds. So,
Fair enough.
been game hopping. I've been doing more reading than playing, because I've just been tired, so I wanted to lay in bed and read. But we did make it to Black Wing Lair for World of Warcraft, so we're now raiding one of the harder raids in the entire game ever. So
Until the last boss in AQ40.
well,
all the bosses at AQ are going to be a pain in the ass for us.
that'll be a little while, but now
we got a long road before that.
yeah, we spent like 3 or 4 hours and made it 2 bosses in, so we still got quite a ways to go.
For the record, those 2 bosses are known as the Guild Breakers. Like, they're extremely difficult, and that's why they're back to back. And usually if you don't make them through there, you're not going to make it through the rest.
We really didn't
After
have...
that, it's mainly mechanics for the rest of them.
I
Yep,
feel like we
tank
didn't
mechanics
struggle
and
as much
things
on
like
the
that.
second boss as everybody thought we would. Because
Well,
that
it's
one's a
because-
big... that one's
Because
dependent on...
we have really good DPS.
Really good DPS, and the tanks are, well, I'm on top of it because we got the DPS threat meter, and the threat meter, and I'm just sitting there spamming, climbing up the threat meter, and then I stay right below the main tank, and I'm watching. As soon as he drops, I instantly get into position, pop all cooldowns, and just stand there and let him wail on me for as long as I can, and then I die. So it's a lot about paying attention in that raid.
What's interesting to me, though, like, listening to y'all talk about this, like, if you think about the Destiny raids and stuff that came out, how quick they're beaten, versus, like, you all talking about, oh, these are called guild breakers, and you've got lots of people going in.
Well, I mean, to be
and playing
fair,
at one time.
there are guilds that went ahead and made it all the way through Black Wing Lair the night that it was released, because they've done it before, or, it's just this set group that spent the weeks leading up to it doing nothing but watching YouTube strats and things like that from back in the day. And
there's also another way, like, they played on private servers, and they spent the last 8 years doing this over and over again. So they literally walked in, handled it, didn't even loot the last boss, and then just left.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, but that's not me.
No.
That's not our
We're all
guild for
casual
sure.
players.
Well, but I think that's the other thing, too. You're talking about people that have had however many years working on playing this and doing that over and over again, where, you're restarting this over. Think about the first time this was ever released.
That's what it
And
feels
how
like to
long
us.
Right, and how long it took for people to get through versus Destiny the first go round, and you have people being within anywhere from 3 to 8 hours.
That is very true, because I think the original one, for the original Molten Core dungeon, it took like 4 months to beat it. Like the first time, from when it was released to when it was beaten, it took like 4 months to beat it. So it's a lot different now, though. We're a lot smarter. We know how things work. We're a lot more communicative.
Well, some of us are.
People understand how classes work to optimize DPS.
Some of them do.
That's true too.
Most of them do.
Yeah.
The legitimate DPS don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Not the rep pallies.
Oh, see, I didn't even say it, but what it is, what it is.
I'm sorry, rep pallies. They in classic they can't do damage.
Well,
Three rep pallies combined in DPS cannot out DPS the lowest lock.
I think at least one of our current rep pallies went holy for this raid, though. So we're short on healers.
No, they're splitting spell. They go Spelladin so that they can do melee damage, but they can also heal.
I thought
They're basically
Anarin went straight holy,
support.
though.
No, he's got holy gear, but he goes Spelladin
they're
so that he
hybrid.
can still. Yeah, hybrid is pretty much the ideal way
I
you
just
want
know
to
who
go
was
because
on
you're
top
still.
of the heal charts for that raid, and it was me. So that's my own little humble brag, because I'm never at the top, but I finally was. Sorry. What have you guys been doing?
I've been playing. I played a lot of City Skylines because that game's addictive as hell, and been trying to. I've learned from my mistakes on certain parts of it, because I think if you're introducing mods, Griff and I had this conversation. Certain mods that you introduce change some of the game aspects to the point to where it's like half of my population's dying because they're polluted when they shouldn't be. Like, there's a bunch of stuff going on that was kind of weird, so I had to change how I play the game.
Advocate for any time that you're going to play those kinds of games, you play them like the way that they're meant to be played first, so that you know what things are before you're like, here's all these mods that say I can do whatever I want, because then you don't know what you're doing.
Well, it doesn't say I can do whatever I want. I'm changing traffic stuff. That's about it. It's just that one fucks it up for some reason. I don't get it, but whatever. And then more Kakarot. Been playing some more Kakarot. Absolutely love it. I have started the whatever the Android one's called, where I've beaten Frieza, and I've got to go to and then all of a sudden randomly dude shows up, beats beats him and his dad, and nobody knows who he is. Finally Goku comes in and he's like, let me pull you to the side for a minute, and then tells you who he is, and you're like, what? He goes, and you gotta wait 3 years. And then that's where I stopped for the night, because it was midnight, and I was like, I am not going to get down this rabbit hole. I will do this Monday night and go through that way. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm excited about it.
I'm surprised they didn't add the Garlic Jr. saga.
The what?
Those are filler sagas.
Yeah.
What now?
Garlic Jr.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing they left that out. Any of those filler things.
That one was actually a pretty
stuff
good
is-
saga, but it is a filler saga.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
filler.
you gotta. Okay, there's a difference between filler and a filler saga. The filler content is the bullshit.
Look, man,
episodes
the
that
longer
just
you
stick
make
in the
it
middle.
take to get to Cell and Boo, the less I care about it. Stop it. We can get rid of that so that we can get to
But
that.
you have such memorable villains like Salt and Pepper.
God. It's really good though. Like I've really enjoyed the Kakarot stuff, because it's and it's cool having people come in that like I said, that know the show, and I don't know the show, and I'll have questions to ask and everything else, and then some weird things will happen. Like they've stated something in one episode, and then the next episode it actually kind of contradicts what they said before, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just do this instead of that, because that was covered in the last one. But all right, cool. You know, things like that. But I'm not going to try to find logic in it, because, well, video games, or, well, in this case, anime. So
Yeah, let's say anime. Yeah,
fuck logic. We'll throw that shit out the window.
exactly.
But it's really fun. The gameplay is gotten very interesting, especially now you have Super Saiyan stuff. It's really really cool to just see how fast the characters start to move. But what is interesting is a lot of the characters, because if you think about, you have a bunch of characters that die, and then you have to go through the whole stuff on an entirely different planet. So your characters went up in level, but the other ones stayed the same because they had died. But then it's like a year and a half before the story starts again, the way that they have it set up in the game. And so it's like they didn't go up in level at all since like a year and a half. Like, I have to be the one that helps them go up in level. Cool. All right. Like, at least let them go halfway. So I've got them in my party just doing stuff so their levels will go up. But it's fun. Nice open world stuff. Did that and some more Sea of Thieves. Shout out to my friend Old Man, who's been playing the game for a long time, but actually almost took nearly a year off. He had some stuff going on in his life and wasn't able to play the game, and didn't have a television for a while. Got a TV a few months ago and has been grinding, and finally got Legend. Got Pirate Legend this past week, so I'm very excited for him.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he got to do it, and then of course we got a new announcement for February 19th. They're introducing a new treasure chest as well. That's the Chest of Rage, and the way that it works is you basically take the chest and you put it on your ship like you normally would, and it's worth a lot of money, and you're moving it from point A to point B, but as it gets mad, it explodes and catches your ship on fire. And they're like, oh, and for you, those of you who thought it'd be cool to, be able to cool it off by putting water on top of it and just by, flooding the bottom of your ship a little bit, putting it in there, it's going to boil the water down there. So it acts like it would be in lava. So you can't do that either now. So that starts February 19th. I'm very excited about the addition of that one.
Yeah, but I mean, even though it boils the water, does that mean it doesn't catch the ship on fire? Because
it would not catch the ship on fire. But if you needed to go downstairs and repair, you're going to injure yourself while trying to repair if you get into a battle in between.
Yeah, and if you get hit by a cannonball down there repairing, you're going to be dead because you've already taken damage.
Take it to the nearest outpost as soon as you get the damn thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be similar to having the crying chest, right? But you basically just have to make sure everybody has a pail of water on them. And now that you have barrels of water inside your ship now to fill up. Ever since they introduced the fire bombs, it's a lot easier to cool it off a little bit. But it gets angry and will explode. And then you can actually make it explode. So if somebody has one on their deck, you can shoot it and catch and get it mad to where it shoots, it catches their shit on fire. So there's, it's going to be very interesting to see how that gets added in there. So yeah, definitely. But enjoyed that. And then tonight I'm interested to go back into Stranded with No Pants because really enjoying that game. It's a lot of fun. So we'll see how that works out. That's all I got.
Chicken's been playing Sekiro.
I was going to go into that after Baka was done.
Salty, bro. I just want to talk about how salty you've been.
Yeah, no, right?
Go into it. I mean, I've just been playing WoW. Doing farming, leveling the paladin, which I'm almost 40 on the paladin.
Yeah, almost time to get your free mount.
Mm-hmm. Free pony.
Hell yeah.
And then other than that, I've been doing a crap ton of painting.
Hell yeah.
But look, Ugg and Tug are getting done.
Hell yeah. Alright, well, for the last 2 weeks, I couldn't figure out what to play when I was done with Darksiders Genesis. So I was like, alright, I guess I'll go ahead and give Sekiro a chance since I've been wanting to play it and whatnot. Holy shit, I think I fell in love all over again.
Except for when he's yelling at it.
That is what makes it tolerable, though, is because of how much I fucking love this game. I totally understand why this thing got Game of the Year and why it got so much fucking praise. Everything in this game feels good. The parrying mechanics, the fighting mechanics, the prosthetics that you have, the different styles, the bosses, like it is so good. The combat feels so good. Some of the bosses, like early on, I got extremely frustrated because my dumbass just did not understand the full scale and concept of the combat. Like every typical game, the best way to beat the boss is to reduce his health to 0, right? Okay, not the same principle in this game. You can destroy their stand. You can break their posture, which opens them for a death blow. And then you can kill them. You could do a vitality kill, which is to reduce their health to 0, or you could break their posture and kill them, which, depending on how the boss is, because certain spear bosses are just not viable to take down health-wise. They have so much health, and their attacks are just dangerous. So you play defensive. You play into them. You parry them. You counter them. And you just basically play around them and hit them when you can to keep their posture off balance. And eventually, when you have the upper hand, you can break it entirely and then kill them. And it's such an interesting method to play. Because you're not trying to kill them. You're just trying to break their posture. Which is, you don't look for hits. You look for defensive. You look for deflections. And you try to... Because there's another, you can jump and then kick them when they go to swing at you. You can jump over them and then kick them, which damages their posture pretty badly. And you just kind of keep at that method until eventually you break them and then you can kill them. And that's like once I figured out that you go for a posture kill on certain bosses, I handled the spear boss no problem. Like I died to him 20 something times, and then when I was like, oh, you could do a posture kill, it's like, oh.
So how long is it going to take you to figure out how to kill that fire guy that you've been fighting? for like 2 days.
Is he still fighting him? Oh, wow.
Yeah. First of all, this is the boss that I was afraid of, like, during the whole thing, because I've got a whole list of all the bosses. There's 51 bosses, and I've killed about 47 of them so far. There are a couple that I can't do because I took a different end game path. But this one is the one that I was dreading. This one and the second to last boss. Like, these two are just horrifying. This guy especially so. You have to be on your game. This one is not a parry boss or deflect or defensive style. You have to be aggressive. You have to dodge and hit. You have to constantly keep moving around him because his attacks are so wide. If you get hit, you take a shitload of damage. And he's got so many different fire attacks that if you get hit by one of them, you're caught on fire. And as soon as you falter in any way, he gets the upper hand and you have to try to restabilize the fight. There's just so much to this game, and I am in love with it. I cannot wait to play it. And I've apparently people like watching it too, which I've had more traffic come in recently, and I'm definitely doing a new game plus of this run. 100%. I cannot wait.
It through once. I probably wouldn't. I'd just break my controller and throw things.
Oh man, if you held onto my controller, you could feel how weak it's gotten because I've just like squeeze it and like twist.
Stop. I'm the one that breaks
tried
controllers.
hard enough, I would probably just snap that thing in half. Because at certain moments
you need an
like,
elite controller just because it's made out of a different material.
Exactly. There are just certain times, even the small mobs too will get the better of you. And I do play like a shinobi too. Like, I am not afraid to play in the shadows or stealth attack or do whatever I need to do to win. Because, that's what a ninja has to do. Use the shadows, use the height advantage, do whatever you've got to do to try to win. One of the bosses was super dangerous. So my strategy was run in, aggro him, run away until he drops aggro, and then hurry up, puppeteer one of the other guys, because you can basically turn them into your minion for a minute. Grab him, run to the boss as he's walking back to his position, stealth assassinate him, which takes one of his death blows away, have the other one join the fight with me, and then it's a 2-on-1, and while he's facing me, the other guy hits him in the back, he turns around, I hit him in the back, and we basically go back and forth until he kills my minion or the time runs out, and then it's just me versus him for a half bar of health, and then I can handle him. Do what you gotta do. Be strategic. Don't pigeonhole yourself into only being able to beat them a certain way. You could be creative. It's part of being a shinobi.
He's been very
Do what you gotta do. There are times, like I said, where I've definitely gotten extremely upset. Like, I almost got the boss down, the fire boss down, and he got me with some stupid bullshit. There's a lot of stupid bullshit that gets me, I'm gonna be honest. But there are some times where I'm super good. I've realized that I have another emote slot, so I'm gonna have the salty chicken, and then I'm gonna have the chicken flex. So when I do something badass, it's gonna be a chicken flexing and whatnot. So you get the flex on fools.
Weird flex, but okay.
You could always have a stealthy chicken, looks like a ninja.
Yeah, with like little bandana and whatnot. But I love this game. It is so good. If you can, and it's not necessarily exactly like a Dark Souls game. It has some features of it, but it requires more finesse to handle, because it's not just trying to weave in attacks every now and then. It's about being able to play the fights smartly. And other than that, I've just played WoW and some League every now and then. But that game is super fun. Oh, I also played DayZ last night with Snitty. It was free this weekend, so he died. He got sick. He drank some pond water. He got sick and vomited everywhere and died on the street. And then I caught whatever he had and vomited everywhere. It took them an hour to find each other,
and then one of them dies. Like, oh no.
Yep. And then I got approached by a guy, and I told him where Snitty was, and he's like, "No, don't tell him where I'm at." I told him he had a can opener. Go find him and take his can opener. Oh, that game's a lot of fun too. But that's what I've been occupying myself with. WoW and Sekiro, which is so good, by the way. So good.
I didn't get that for the first 32 times you said it, so I'm glad you said it again.
Yeah, just so you know, I will probably be stuck playing this game for a while just because... Oh, and I have to give a shout out. The music is just incredible. Like, it's so good. The art in this game is beautiful. There are just certain parts of it where you just stop and go, wow. Wow. It's so pretty. So pretty. You've said the same thing too, Grif.
I know. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yes, the game is so good looking. But I can sit here and
some news so that you don't sit here and talk about it all day. He'll be streaming it on Twitch this week, so if you want to see it, just stop by his Twitch
Absolutely.
channel. Yep.
Absolutely.
Talk about some news now.
Sure, I guess, whatever.
We have like 2 weeks worth of news because we didn't have a show last week, so some
all,
of it's
all 9 articles.
Some of it's a little bit old. Some of it's a little bit easy. Saints Row 4 is getting a Switch release, so that's cool. Which, I mean...
Your Grif can play it on the go now.
Oh, it's not surprising. Saints Row 3 is already there. That's... Yeah, so... Which at some point I'll buy a bunch of Switch games. I just haven't done it yet. And by Switch games, I mean the Goose Game and a bunch of games I already own, so...
Hey, it'll be wonderful when you're sitting on the chair with the little one, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna play this while he's sleeping."
Yes, Saints
Come on, that's
Row
perfect,
Baby
right?
Sleeps great.
Perfect, right?
Bring
I mean,
him
you
up
can turn
right.
the volume.
You just
Hell
have the
yeah.
headphones in. You just do this right here, right here.
Exactly. See, and that's how you keep yourself occupied. You multitask the world, raise a child, and play games. Best of both worlds.
I was able to do it. We're good.
Eventually, the child will get where he can play his own damn games.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but that's cool. I mean, that was a quick one. And, I thought there was one other one that was like a 5-second thing, but worth mentioning. Whatever. Blizzard changed their Warcraft 3 refund policy for the time being, quote unquote, to basically like, yeah, okay, we'll give you your money back if you hate it, because everybody hates it. As we established in the last show, actually, we talked about Red refunding his, which was surprising because he doesn't usually refund games, much less Blizzard games, but first time for everything.
Very true.
So...
Tell Activision to get their hand out of the cookie jar.
They'll never get the hand out of that cookie jar.
Part of their defense, Blizzard's defense, was like, we wanted to stay true to what the game originally was, and it's like, yeah, but you didn't really update anything at the same time.
You basically just re-released the same game with very minimal update.
Yeah. So, that's cool, I guess. I mean, I don't...
But now we'll play on a modern PC without without having any issues.
Well, and then stuff that's not quickie news necessarily. Ubisoft promises 5 AAA games before April 2021, which is not surprising because we already know things like Watch Dogs Legion is coming out.
Yep.
There's Rainbow Six Quarantine, which Oak had mentioned he wasn't sure if that was DLC or if that was a standalone, but it looks like it's a standalone.
Yeah, it's a standalone.
Game.
It's a new one. A new Far Cry, we could definitely see it, and a new Assassin's Creed. So that's 4 right there.
And then Gods and
Then
Monsters.
Gods and Monsters.
Vikings, Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, apparently this one's gonna be Vikings, which I guess I don't know. I have qualms with, because at this point we're like, we don't care about the actual Assassin Templar thing anymore. It's what's a cool setting where you can use these mechanics. Go forth.
And the thing is like you can still do the Assassin Templar thing and just show how it's part of each one of these particular cultures. But the problem is when you release them on a yearly basis, you can't build that. Yeah. And that's what drives me insane about it, is because what they did really well was making us kind of buy into the entire system. And then when you went into Assassin's Creed 2, you had a bunch of standalones that came along that you could play as well and continue the storyline. It's just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the last one came out in 2018. So if it comes out this year, which I don't think it will. It'd probably be
It'll
next
probably
year.
be next year.
It'd be a 2-year gap, which it seems like 2 years is what they're shooting for now. That's what they're kind of doing with the Far Cry series, where we had Far Cry 5, and then they did New Dawn, which was an addition to Far Cry 5, not necessarily a whole new standalone, but it was sort of separate. But then it would be 2 years down the road if they did a new Far Cry this year. So I guess instead of it being an annual franchise, it's a biannual franchise. Which I don't know if that helps their case much. But
it's the same. And I want to say my piece is the Assassin's Creed would benefit so heavily from the Nemesis system. I mean, I've preached this before. Having Templars that you have to identify via Assassin's methods and then assassinate them or convert them or follow them into finding the other Templars and then figure out their hierarchy, find their leaders and things like that, and make them dynamic spawning, different kinds. You know, like one is more aware of his surroundings, so you've got to be careful if you're going to follow this one, or one is more dangerous if he catches you, and things like that. Like, there are so many methods that you can do to integrate the Nemesis system into Assassin's Creed. I think that is one of the franchises that would benefit so heavily from that kind of system.
You think they'd get shit though doing the Nemesis system, considering the fact that with the Mordor games you had, like with that particular case, they were bitched about the fact about how close they were to Assassin's Creed. So if you use the Nemesis system into that, it would be, or something similar. People
even more strongly.
Yeah, people would be like, "Oh my god, now you're going the other way," you know, that type of thing.
They would, and then people would be like, "Wow, this game is so fucking good. I don't need," like, everything else would just fade away after a while. You'd have your critics, of course, but I think the game would benefit from it a lot. It would be incredible.
And make it more interesting. I mean,
exactly. Plus, you could bring the Assassin's Templar thing back around and make it the main focus of the series instead of just. Because it seems like the Assassin's Creed focus on it has turned from the story to the setting.
Yeah, it's definitely more about the setting and not so much the Assassins versus Templars. It's, you're a cool fighter with this cool stuff that you can do things with. And isn't that neat? Yay, look where we're at. It's like, oh, okay. I guess I'm just old now because I really liked Assassin's Creed 2 and some of the subsequent games after that, where we still were focusing on the fact that there was a struggle between the Templars and the Assassins, because it's called Assassin's Creed.
How it was embedded and everything else. I mean, I don't know. The minute that they stuck me at a computer, I was having issues.
They're like, oh, you're you know, the Abstergo thing and everything. It's like that. Abstergo should have been one of those things where it's like we know about it, but we don't directly interact with them on a regular basis, and you know, all of this stuff. And I don't know, they should have kept their distance from it instead of trying to be like, and you're now an Abstergo employee who is making the games for them by playing all of your old memories because you're part of these families. Isn't that cool?
Which I find ironic is one of the best Assassin's Creed, one of the best. Black Flag is that one
where they introduced that.
Yeah, it's like it's got the worst outside story, but like the best inside story.
But it's also one of the tip of the iceberg where we make it less and less about, you know, whether or not you're directly an assassin, you know, because
very true.
He in that one, Kenway doesn't pick one side or the other. He's just in the midst of these two feuding factions. He just happens to lean towards one, you know.
Yep, very true. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is hopefully they'll reboot the series at some point and start over fresh. And
how do you reboot it when you're getting it every 2 years?
Well, they were getting it every year until this time.
Yeah, the sales go down
from 2010 to 2018. I think we had one like every year or something about it every year.
Oh man.
So yeah,
I'm glad they've.
But I mean, I think
sort of spaced out Far Cry.
Yeah, well, but I don't. Yeah, because they did a Far Cry 4 to Far Cry 5 was pretty close, right? Or was it Far Cry 5 to whatever that last one?
It was Far Cry 5 to New Dawn, but that's because New Dawn was just an add-on to Far Cry 5.
Yeah, literally just copy paste and put the map.
It was like, here's what happened after the events of Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
Right.
So that one, I mean, I feel like that was add-on content more than a standalone, which I'm okay with it coming out sooner after the original game, because you're you know, those two things are obviously intrinsically married, so that's fine. But if it's something like, here's Far Cry 5, and Far Cry 4 had nothing to do directly with the events of Far Cry 5, here's Far Cry 6, which has nothing directly to do with Far Cry, like, spread them out a little bit. 2 years, I don't know. Maybe.
3 years is normal. Like in the industry, it's for movies, everything. It's 3 years.
I like 3 years.
You know, and 3 years is good because it gives you time to play other games in between. If you do something similar to the way that they did Assassin's Creed 2, you can add those extra DLCs onto them or extra standalones, whatever you want to say, for those particular ones to complete a storyline. You create an opportunity for people to, you know, to finish what they started. I mean, that's what drives me crazy about the fact that they're switching these around so much. Is like, you know, the Ezio story was just perfect because you could go through that whole thing. But I don't know. What do I know? I just bought them and played them and liked them. I mean, you know, what do I know?
Wow. Far Cry was 2004, the original Far Cry game, and Far Cry 2 wasn't until 2008. So it was
back in the day where they took a long time.
Well, I mean, they released games in between Far Cry Instinct and Far Cry Vengeance, which I guess were, I mean, all looks like the same guy in the same place. So,
or is that for 3? It was
no, that was Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon. Right.
Yeah, that was for Far Cry 3, which I mean that's fine. That one was a filler content because Far Cry 3 was 2012, Blood Dragon was 2013, which was an add-on to 3, and then 2014 was Far Cry 4. But then there was 2 years legit between Far Cry 4 and Far Cry Primal. Which I guess is another interesting way to space out your series, because looking at it like that, it means that you had Far Cry 4, and then the next game was 2 years later, but it wasn't part of the core series, because it was Primal, and then you jump back in with Far Cry 5 in 2018. So when you go back to your traditional Far Cry game, it had been 4 years down the line.
It's more like filler games and whatnot in between your main games.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, cool. I think that kind of method is perfectly fine. I mean,
and it gives you time to pine for those games. Like, I loved Far Cry 4, and then by the time Far Cry 5 came out, I was ready for another Far Cry game.
And to be fair, you could do, you know, Far Cry Vikings, and they're trying to do something. They're all part of the same universe anyway with Ubisoft, right? So, come on.
Maybe.
And one of the characters in Far Cry Vikings is part of the Assassin's Creed Vikings. See?
Yeah,
well, it all takes place in the same universe, right?
You oversaturate your Viking content, so...
Don't worry, they'll oversaturate it and they'll move on.
Which, let me tell you, I'm not excited about an Assassin's Creed Viking game. I like the idea of Vikings, but something about it doesn't mesh with the assassin gameplay, because Vikings are like, I'm going to run at you screaming so that you know that I'm about to cut your face off. Assassins
you know what
are
I'm
like,
really surprised about, though? They still aren't talking about the pirate game.
The Skull and Bones? I don't think I think that one's kind of shelved. I really think they've got a skeleton crew working on it, and it's just not making progress the way they want it to.
I don't think it's shelved. I think they're working on it, but I think it's a little too ambitious than what they're getting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not making the progress. And I mean, I feel like they're probably also pulling people from that to work on these other things that are core franchises already, because that's not making the progress.
And because they're trying to release 5 in 1 year. Or at least 2. Like, why do we need 5?
More money, what Baka said.
Yep.
More money.
You just reboot a game or remake a game and you're good to go. I mean, that's
no shit.
The way everybody else is doing it. I don't understand.
Imagine how much money Capcom's about to make from Resident Evil 3 remake. I mean, they're like, oh yeah, cool, there you go. Or I mean, in the Resident Evil 8, it'll be another year or so behind it, and that thing will sell like hotcakes.
See, that's another way to do. That's another way to fill in between, right? So you come out with a new game. So like they came out with 7. And then they're filling it in with the older ones, remakes of those.
The older remakes.
Older remakes, and then they're going back in and then giving us another one. So it's like it continues to generate. So what if Ubisoft have given us a remake of, or not a remake necessarily, but even a really good remastered version of Assassin's Creed 2, like with all the thing, which they tried to do with 1 not too long ago, but it's not the same.
What engine does most of their games use?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know on that one.
Because I mean, I like Capcom. They wanted to redo it. Like they fucking just started over from scratch with their entire engine and their games. Because I would love, depending on what engine they use. First of all, companies need to figure out how to create their own engine so that their games are very identifiable. But just prettying
It's the Cry
it up.
engine. Is what they
Cry
use.
engine.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it what? How old is it?
Oh wait, no. Far Cry uses the Dunia engine, which is a modified version of the Cry engine.
Okay. I mean, some of their games just don't feel different.
Some of them.
Like,
No,
yeah,
a
a lot of
them
games
feel
just
the same.
yeah.
Anvil
and
Next. I've never heard of this. What is this?
Neither have I. Like, it's rare when a company, like when you talk about a company's engine, it's either really good or really bad. Frostbite is really bad, and EA really sucks with their engine. But Capcom's RE engine is really good, and the games that come out of that are really good. And
Did you
if
ask how old it was, that engine?
Yeah. How
The
old
Cry
is that
engine was originally developed in 2002, but its latest iteration and update was September 2019.
Okay,
So, I mean, they're
With
updating
Anvil-
it regularly.
Anvil Next, which is the one that they're using for the Assassin's Creed, they're on 2.0, which was invented in 2014. First one was Unity that used it, which is probably explains all the crazy shit that was going on with Unity at the time.
Yeah, that would explain. It's just crazy to me that some of the companies, when they develop their own engine, either they don't have the right engineers when they develop it to really make it work. Because it's crazy that Capcom's, when they made the RE engine, it came out and worked fucking gloriously. Like, it came out and shined
Because
like the sun.
they know what they want to do with it.
But I mean,
I know,
I think
and
that
it's
that's
like-
also the difference in a company that wants to put forth a lot of effort on the tech side as well, versus a company that would rather spend their money on the shinier stuff and the game development, which is what happens with a lot of the stuff developed on the Frostbite. They're like, we have this. It's our proprietary engine, so we don't have to spend money on an outside engine and licensing. Use it. Use it now. It doesn't matter how garbage it is. Here's the 3 tech people that can help you with all of these 15 games we have in development right now. Use them wisely. Also,
Well, like
not
with
you.
the Anvil looks like it was created in 2017 in-house. So, at Ubisoft.
So they're creating their own engines.
Yeah, they did it to create Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
So that explains why Assassin's Creed looked as good as it did originally.
You need your own engine to be able to dive off of high viewpoints.
Yeah, high places.
That-
To a hay
Like-
thing without killing your character.
And it's also used. It's used in Rainbow Six. It's used in the Rainbow Six engine. So to give you kind of an idea of what it looks like first person wise, and then Ghost Recon Wildlands used it, and the new Ghost Recon. That's a
They
piece of
also
shit.
have the
Breakpoint
Snowdrop
piece of
engine,
shit.
which is another modified version of the Cry engine. But I think that was largely for the older Tom Clancy games.
See, I would like them to take like Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy and rebuild it on a new engine to where it looks up to date and all fancy and nice, like they did with Resident. Well, not them, but like what they do with Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 is take those old games and then bring them up.
Here's
while
where
your
that's
main
going to happen. That's not going to happen until VR is a staple and everybody has a VR headset. And then you have to rebuild the games to be VR ready, but they still want to re-release the old games that everybody loved. So those things are probably not going to be completely rebuilt in new engines until that point in time is
Well, and
reality.
here, to be fair, the original Anvil engine, well, actually, it was originally called Scimitar, which is awful. Then it moved to Anvil, which for Assassin's Creed 2. There was Anvil Next, which was Assassin's Creed 3, and then Anvil Next 2.0 is what Unity started on. So theoretically, there's either going to be a 3.0 that's coming out based on what I'm looking at here.
It sounds like their
or
naming
it's-
scheme is about as good as Nintendo's.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I thought it was weird that they just didn't go Anvil 1, Anvil 2, Anvil 3. You know what I mean? But instead they were like, okay,
PlayStation.
Anvil Next 2.0. Okay, well, is the next one
Anvil Next.
Anvil Next, and then a next 2.0? What,
I'm waiting
how's that
for
go?
Anvil Triple Next.
Oh god, no, we don't need the triple X. The triple
That's
X.
used for a
That's for the VR porn.
totally different industry.
That's VR for you, right?
Right? That is their VR engine.
Oh my
The triple
God.
next. Hey, you're the one that said it.
I
That
know,
wasn't even
it's a
us
good
this
one.
time.
We mentioned the crappy Frostbite engine and the companies being forced to use that thing, and there's actually an Anthem story. So
Heck yeah.
tying it right into all of that crappiness, Bioware says that it is working on a substantial reinvention. I had to make sure I looked at it to get the right word. Reinvention. You're going to have to completely get rid of the current one and remake it in order for that to be okay. Because just adding some extra in-game stuff, it's not doing anything to salvage.
I don't think
No,
that's
they're
what
rebuilding the
talking
game
about.
they're rebuilding the game from scratch.
Yeah.
is
That's what they're
basically
going to have to
doing.
do. That'd be like literally the only way to salvage it.
Yeah, basically what everybody's kind of talking about is the fact that they recognized the issues and stuff and the problems that they had, and there were certain things they wanted to be able to do with the game that they weren't able to do, and now they're saying they're going to have that opportunity. So I don't know if it's them getting forced to release ahead of time. Like this goes back to the question of the No Man's Sky. Was No Man's Sky, but after the flood and everything else, did Sony not give them enough time to be able to re-release that out and have the issues, and now they've kind of recovered from that, and the fact that they created the game they originally promised everybody? Is that what's going to happen with Anthem, and the fact that they're going to... You think it's not going to be the same game? I mean, you don't think they're going to give the game that you want?
You're reinventing a game, or trying to reinvent a game that a lot of players have already reached the cap level and have all the cool stuff. So if you completely, from the ground up, rebuild it because it's got heavy story components and everything, do you force those people to start over, or do you just let them go through in like a new game plus setting where they are doing content that some of it they've already done and some of it's the new polished stuff? I mean, I think the problem with trying to rebuild a game like that from the ground up is that you're not building something that's in an open setting where a lot of it's procedurally generated, and yeah, you can be like, okay, well, the next time you cross this galaxy, you'll be in the new stuff, and you get to keep all of the stuff you already had, versus something like this where it's like, we re-envisioned the whole core of the game, so you need to start back at level 1, even though you have all of this stuff, and for some reason have been playing this game this whole time.
I think that they're
I think the numbers are low enough that they can justify just doing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I really do.
You would think so,
think
but then that tiny base is going to be so vocal about, we spent so much time, especially since they put their real money marketplace in.
No, I've seen their base. If the game becomes popular again, their base is going to be like, holy shit, hallelujah, we've got people in the game. Like, they won't give a fuck
but if you
they have to
reset
start
everything,
over
do they
again.
keep all of their things they spent real money on?
Well,
Or do you
I'm sure
refund
spend real
those
money on
credits?
it.
Compensated.
What'd you say, Baka?
I think they'd be compensated in some
Yeah,
way.
you'll probably just get all of the currency that you bought back if they decide to go that route of wiping everything.
Yeah.
But it also depends. It also could depend on what that the agreement that we all clicked at the very beginning says too.
Well, that's
Yep,
true.
that's true, too.
I think it would hurt a lot of people that have continued to support them if they wiped
don't think there's
everything and
any more
didn't give
pain.
them anything.
I doubt they'll do that, but I
But-
highly doubt there's any more pain this game can cause anybody.
I just...
This game is probably one
Well,
of
a
the
lot
most...
of people are upset because they were like, well, we're supporting it and working on this game constantly, but it's February and the Christmas decorations are still up.
Yep.
It's like, you must
but I
not
think
care
it's-
that much. It's...
I think they are caring about the game. I think they're not caring about the one that's currently released. I think they're caring
that
about
is
the one that they're
exactly
going to
the way.
re-release. Because
Yes.
what's going to happen is everybody that has it downloaded, when you go to update, what's going to happen eventually is it's going to do the same thing that Black Ops 4 did, where everything comes off, everything goes back on again. It's going to be 150 gigs of shit that's got to be put onto your damn system.
I can't wait to see what they do with it. If they're doing it, that's fine. I'm not buying into it, but I can't wait to see what comes out of this, because Anthem, like the gameplay of it was incredible. I mean, flying around, you just felt good. The flying felt good.
The combat
the
felt
shooting.
good. It's
Yeah,
just the
like
things
all of that
you
stuff
were
felt
fighting
good.
and the combat loops were boring.
Yes, like my breaking point was when we hit cap and the gameplay loop ended instead of it continuing, like looping through the difficulties. It was like, all right, cool, you've hit cap. All of the gear that you have now is the best you can get. Now you just up the difficulty so that you have a better chance of getting legendaries. That loop is a terrible ideology for an end game like that. Like, you should have made it so you go on to the next difficulty. You farm for gear, you fight better enemies,
and you had
get
new
better gear,
events
and
to
it
go
moves you
and
to
do
the next
stuff at,
one.
too, instead of it being like, all right, you're cap level, here's what you get to do. They're called dailies, and it's going to be the same 5 objectives every day. Go to this point, and the thing is those objectives were also things that you already did in the story. It's not even that you got new objectives for your dailies after the game was over. It was shit you've already done. It's like, you remember when you were level 3 and we had you do this menial task? Go do that again. Because they're back. Or something. It's like...
Yeah, they literally just copy pasted all of the quests for the end game. They're like, all right, cool.
They
these
waited
are
so long
quests.
to start on the game.
Yeah, like Anthem is one of those warning games where it's like, be careful of what you do. Do not force your developers to.
The bad part about Anthem too, though, is it started off pretty well. Like, you got into it and you're like, okay, I could play this game. This should develop fine,
well,
and then it never developed.
Likeable, which was a Bioware staple, good character development, things like that. But the thing is like, by halfway through, those things had waned, and you were realizing that you were doing these repetitive things. And then once the story came to fruition, you were like, well, what happened to all the things that you were doing? Why did you ruin these characters?
Right.
Why did you throw these characters away? Because some of them, like, you did some missions for, like the Matthias's specifically. It's like, here's some missions. Okay, after you're done with their part of the story, you literally never speak to them again. Okay, they were charming and interesting characters that we had built a rapport with, but sure, let's pretend they don't exist now. Because we're done with it.
There are a lot of things wrong with it. A lot of things.
Yeah. We'll see what the reinvention looks like, but let me tell you, I'm not going to hold my breath that it's going to be great.
Yeah, nobody hold their breath over this one. Just see what they have to offer when it's done. And then,
yeah, I think here's the thing: is if you're doing better, if it does better than what it's currently doing, they're going to consider it as success in some way because they did something different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like you can, it's not really polishing a turd. It's more like scooping it up, throwing it off of the base side, and putting something else in its place is what they're trying to do. And we'll just have to see how it works. But I mean, just have to kind of see. But.
Yeah, we'll find out. You guys want to talk about Sonic? Speaking of things that we'll have to see about, because none of us have seen the movie yet. I don't think so.
Not seen the movie yet.
Red saw it.
Yeah, he said he liked it. It was fun. Had funny moments and whatnot.
And to be fair, he's the biggest Sonic fan of all of us, right?
Yeah, and he didn't hate it, so it must not be that bad.
Yeah, he said he laughed more than he scowled, so I consider that a success.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, as long as there's more haha, then God, what did they do to my fucking series?
Not like Ninja Turtles. That's all I did.
Yeah, on nothing but scowls.
I hope it's not.
Learn ninjutsu from a how-to book. You can't buy
It is possible that it could end up being the most successful video game movies of all time.
Which blows my mind that Detective Pikachu is not that already.
I think people didn't know what to expect with Pikachu. I think with this one, you think about this, the bad press. Remember the whole there's no such thing
I was
as bad
about to
press?
say the
bad
thing.
press, and then what ended up happening afterwards caused, I think, a big push for this, because I think those of us that are gamers and love Pokemon and stuff like that, Pikachu was important because it was kind of okay. We get to go out and do that, and like in my case, I went to go take my kids to go see it. But I think with this one, it's more of all the bad press, and then they changed it. This is kind of a reward for, hey, thank you for listening to fans, that type of thing. So I'm really glad that they did change it. So
yeah, he definitely looks less creepy now than he did before.
Oh, thank God they redid him. Like, I mean, I cannot believe. I cannot believe that they thought that first iteration of him was good.
No.
Like, they gotta make him realistic, or like kids won't believe he's there.
Like that was no good. Like, I am so happy because if they would have stuck with that one, the movie would have just literally bombed.
The thing that kills me is, and it had to have been the original plot line that was set up, was the fact that in the second trailer, the one that they redid, when they showed us that one, it was him coming out of his real world, into our world. There was no reason to create the original Sonic if that was the original plot line.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason to change what he actually looks like at all. If that was the original plot, like, hell, you could have made him a cartoon. We'd all been fine with that shit at the end of the day, you know?
But they wanted to make him look like, you know, a child could dress as him for Halloween.
Ugh.
I mean, they still can. But
Yeah, they still can. I mean,
I guess, you know, thinking about studio execs and the fact that some of them are apparently completely out of touch with humanity, yeah, I guess I could see that being an argument that they made, though. He might be onto something. Oh. You want to talk about Nintendo and then we'll talk about Sony?
yeah, we can do that.
Okay. So, Nintendo is going to E3, but kinda, I guess.
It'll be different this year because as far as I can tell, they're just doing a floor.
Yeah. Apparently E3 is
It's
doing
just the
things
treehouse,
little-
basically.
Yeah.
Is what that's.
Which, I mean,
Where last year they weren't there at all, I don't think.
Nintendo is one of those companies that we've said that they didn't have to go for a long time because they started doing Nintendo Direct. So they're delivering you direct news from them every month anyway. They don't have to go to shows. You're already getting that content. New announcements and things like that. Like, what do they need E3 for?
Well, Nintendo's its own animal. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like when you're dealing with Microsoft and Sony. It's its own animal.
Well,
It's
to be
separate
fair,
from the other
Sony
two.
had
Absolutely.
that. They did PSX, which was supposed to be why they didn't have to go to shows like that because they were doing their own show for like 1 year. Or was it 2?
I think it was 2 years.
It wasn't long, and then they stopped doing that. I guess they burnt bridges when they left the E3 thing to do that. Now they're just not gonna.
So the year that PlayStation 5 is coming out, Sony is not going to E3.
They don't have to, though, to be honest. Like, what is that gonna matter? Everybody who's gonna buy a PlayStation 5 is gonna buy it, regardless of whether they're at E3.
I think, and let me tell you the difference that's on here. I think one of the things, if you think about this generation when it was released, when they announced both of those at E3 that exact same year, you had a bunch of people that when they watched the Xbox one, they said, I don't want to get an Xbox again. I'm going with the PlayStation one. Mm-hmm. You had a bunch of people jump ship from that 360 over to the PlayStation because of the way those presentations and stuff were. And so that made, because Xbox 360 was the better of the two from PS3 and Xbox 360. That was the better of those two in that generation. But PlayStation completely annihilated Xbox for the first part of this generation. And if Xbox is the only thing anybody's seeing, guess what kids that actually are watching Twitch and Mixer and everything else, what they're going to go tell their parents they want for Christmas, what they can see.
Switch.
Yes and no, because you've already got so much loyalty built up to either brand, because even though the console wars have really cooled off, there's still that brand loyalty. So what am I going to get first is more the question. And it's going to be whatever you're brand loyal to. And to be honest, with the way the internet is, you don't have to watch the stupid show to have it advertised to you everywhere. And it's not like
That's
Sony's
true.
not going to be doing their own advertising. Kids get more influence from going to Twitter and seeing what their favorite celebrities are talking about than they get from watching E3. I sound
I
old when
wonder
I
if
say that.
Sony's
Kids
like-
these days, off my lawn.
If Sony's salty that they can't
Is
be like
Twitter your lawn?
Nintendo
Yes.
when it comes to that, so that they don't have to compete with anybody, they just have their own set and whatnot. But they are always put up against Microsoft, and I'm pretty sure at this point they're just like, stop. We don't want to be in this war anymore. We just want to be the PlayStation console, and everyone's like, well, you're.
I mean,
at war.
that might be part of it too.
We're
Is they
not.
don't want to go to the
Yeah, I would
event
agree with that.
because of that. They don't want to have the head-to-head stuff. It's like, here's our console. We don't care.
Yeah,
Take it or leave
we're like
it.
Nintendo. Leave us alone. Stop putting us into these wars.
The problem is they're not like Nintendo, and they helped create this issue
Yeah.
in the first place.
Yes, they did. PlayStation really
Yeah, they
played
did.
up the console wars, and they were a big reason that it kept going for so long. So it's kind of on them to be like this. But I
I
think
mean,
that
when you used to
they-
have Crash Bandicoot standing outside of Microsoft as one of your commercials yelling at the fucking Microsoft with a megaphone, I'm going to go with, you started this.
But I think at this
Well, now
point
they're
that-
rethinking
I
this.
think that they see that this doesn't serve them. It's not serving them to be in this war with Xbox, who largely has gone the route of, okay, I just don't care. Here's our console. We're for the players. Whatevs. You know?
Yep.
So I think everybody's kind of out of the, as far as the companies themselves are out of the ideology that the console wars are doing them any good.
Well, and what Sony does really well is, and I own, all of us do. We own all the consoles anyway. But it's literally what Sony does really well is what Nintendo does really well. They have really good first party stuff.
Yeah,
and when it came to the PlayStation 4, yes, it was a more powerful machine. The 360, the one, when it first came out, wasn't as powerful, but it had other elements to it that allowed it to be a good console. And it's just everybody, if they played to their strengths, then it's up to the individual to figure out, what do I want to do? Because what PlayStation did is they put a lot of stuff into their hardware, where Microsoft, because guess what they're really good at? Software. Mm-hmm. They made sure that they could update and do what they needed to with their software. So, and they've made it easy now for people, if they want to go live, they can now just go live and go stream if they want to. Where, it was, before you had to have an app and all this stuff where it's PlayStation, they're just different animals.
I think Microsoft's going to hurt themselves at the start of this console generation, though, because right out of the gate, they've already said we're not having exclusive titles so that we don't hurt our players, because for some reason exclusivity hurts their player base. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't have exclusives, then what makes people want to buy your console over Sony's console? Especially since their prices are going to rise, because that's how inflation works, and technology is more expensive. So yes, they're going to be more expensive, so you may not want to go out and buy both of them immediately. What's going to push people that are like, I could go either way, to buy your console if you don't have any exclusives, whereas Sony is like, here's our console, it's strong.
They'll have an opportunity to argue that at E3, where Sony will not have the opportunity to argue the other direction.
Yeah, but Sony can just do that online. They don't have to go to E3 for it anymore.
I think for those of us that go on the websites all the time and stuff like that, yes, we're going to be able to see that. But for the average person, I'm gonna say that you're not going to see. People aren't going to, unless they go and look for it, they're not going to find it, all the information they need for that. And they're not going to know the difference between that PlayStation, that Xbox, because it goes back to that brand loyalty. There's nothing that's going to sell an Xbox current player on a PlayStation if they have no opportunity to see what you're going to give them.
I would say, though, that at this point, a lot of gamers are, especially if you're looking to buy the new console as it comes out, are more informed are trying to keep themselves more updated. So what they're going to do is they are going to look to see what's going to come out for Xbox, what's going to come out for PlayStation, which one do I want more? Like, which immediate game? So if PlayStation's like, here's all of our exclusive content that you're never going to be able to play anywhere else, for now. And Xbox is like, well, all of our stuff is open to everybody. They're like, well, Sony, because that means Sony's going to be showing more games, because they're going to have the ones that Microsoft has, plus their exclusives, and just volume alone might swing people.
But Sony's not going to show any games, because they're not having
It's not like they're not going to advertise. They're just not going to E3, and E3 is not the only way for people to get educated on what they need to buy. No,
but it's a major event where people will end up talking about it.
I'm going to go with it's an event.
It's an event, but honestly, last year, but right before E3 is when Sony did a lot of their massive announcements that got huge attention, because they were coming out right before E3 when everybody's thirsty for everything that's about to happen. Which is smart. And it served them really well.
Because they may not be at E3, but they will advertise during E3. Like, you will see the Sony stuff with everybody else's stuff, but they don't have to go there.
Yep.
Because, I mean, everybody sees ads, everybody streams, everybody shows commercials now, all this shit. Everybody will get fed everything from everybody. Minus Nintendo, because Nintendo doesn't have to fucking do anything.
Nintendo's so chill. They're like your chill friend who doesn't have to be up front telling everybody
that's what I feel like Sony wants. Is they
Nintendo
just want
talks
that
to us
shit.
once a month when we're good. Yeah. That's all we need.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's just... We're coming to the part where you're going to want a Nintendo console, you might want a PlayStation console, and then you're going to decide if you have a PC... There's almost going to be no point to getting
I was about to say, let me tell you, we're probably not buying new Xboxes, because we don't need them.
Yeah,
we can play all of Microsoft's catalogs from our PCs.
On my PC, which is a huge benefit. Like,
I think the only time it runs into an issue is at the point as it gets later part of the generation, depending on, because I'm talking average consumer, but when you get to the latter part of that generation, and it is where that the price has dropped to, let's say, $300 or whatever, and you have a choice between buying let's say you need a new motherboard, new graphics card, where it's going to cost you a little bit, and to be able to play those same games, you can pay $300 for a new console.
I think it really depends on how much you're into your PC, because if it was us and we needed new graphics cards,
but again, I said the average person. We are not average people.
Well, no, but if you've already got a gaming PC.
Hold on. The perks of games on PC versus Xbox is that you could reduce the graphics settings. Like, you're never stuck with one central default. You could just change it.
Yeah, but if somebody's got a 4K television sitting at home and they have a choice of paying $300 to get 4K, or they can...
If they got a 4K, they're just going to upgrade their PC.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you've got a 4K
like if they're
TV
that
and
kind,
you've been playing
you
on
just
your gaming PC,
you just went above average consumer.
PC. Yeah.
What are you talking about? A 4K television is $400 now.
I still don't have one. I didn't even buy one when I had to get a new Asus.
Well,
and you just said I'm not above average.
Yeah, but that's part
now.
of it too, though, is your average person is more capable of being a PC gamer that would rather spend the $250 to upgrade their graphics card than buy an Xbox console, because the PC is going to give them more out of it. If they've already got one, they're probably going to stick with that.
Some people don't like sitting, and you used to be one of these people too. You didn't like sitting at the desk and being able to play, and I used to be the same way.
Because I realized there's an HDMI out for it, which is why I'm sitting right here in my living room looking at a TV.
You're not the average person. You are a full-time gamer. There is a total difference between us and the average person.
That you're trying to make is not one that's a one-to-one. It's apples and oranges, really. Because your argument was, if you already had a gaming PC, but then you were going to have to upgrade, are you just going to buy a console? And most people that already have a gaming PC are going to upgrade because that's why they had a gaming PC instead of a console to start with, because they can upgrade as they go.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you've got a gaming PC, you're just going to stick with it and upgrade. Xbox has to show you why you need that console over your gaming PC for your average gamer.
Because as it stands right now, there's not a reason. The games aren't exclusive to the console, so I can play them on my PC. The graphics are going to be, like, if you can... Because they said their stuff's going to be available through the Xbox One.
Which is why the console is not important to them, which is why they came out with Game Pass, is so that they can keep your subscription even on the PC. Like, that's fine. And for the people who don't have PCs...
But to be fair, there's things on that
players,
PC that are not available on that Xbox, too. And vice versa.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you've definitely got certain things, but I can't think of any that are going to push you into needing a console.
No.
I mean,
what I'm saying is the reason they gave that they gave you the opportunity to get the ultimate pass on both of them is because there are ones that are available for one and not the other.
Yeah. I mean,
because there was exclusivity, it was a way to get around some of the exclusivities for.
But at the same time, though, if there's a game you really want, you'll be able to buy that on your PC anyway. So even if it's not on your Game Pass, you could be like, well, I'm just gonna buy it. You still have it on your PC. You just didn't get it included with your Game Pass umbrella, which, that's a thing. I mean, that's fine. So
yeah,
it's just.
Well, I mean, it maybe, but it's a possibility too with that umbrella that you don't have. That there's certain things that are going to be available on the PC. I mean, on the Xbox side that aren't available on the PC side. It gives you the opportunity to be able to play it.
Yeah,
exactly. You wouldn't have had the opportunity otherwise.
But that's assuming that you wanted to step up and spend the money on a console just to have access to both catalogs. Whereas those catalogs rotate,
you've got both catalogs for at least 2 years anyway. They've already said that. You've got
the catalogs are pretty big.
Yeah, the catalogs are exactly the same for 2 years anyway after the release of that.
Yeah,
so it's not going to matter anymore.
I mean, you're going to want Nintendo's going to sell you a console regardless. And Sony is seeming like they're the cinematic console. Like their games are just above and beyond normal means of games, like Spider-Man and God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us. So cinematic masterpieces. And then you have community open style with Microsoft, where you can play wherever you want, you can play whatever you want, you can do it kind of freestyle however you feel.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how PlayStation adapts to that. Do they go to a more social aspect? Because they lost Facebook. So it used to be to where you could log in from, like, you could attach your Facebook to it, which I guess some people moved this stuff over or whatever, but they've lost that capability because of some reason. I don't know what the issue was on that, but they did lose that option. But it's built into their hardware, not their software. So it was something that was already built into the system, and you have that UI that's, I don't know, it's weird. So where I think that it's going to be interesting to see what they end up adapting to in, is the PlayStation 5, does it become a more social aspect? See, I don't like the UI on PlayStation. Never have liked it.
I just literally, when I think of the PlayStation, I think of it as just games. Like, that's pretty much all it is. I don't have friends on there. I don't bother with people.
That's the reason I buy it.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
the exclusives.
But their exclusives are 100% are worth it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said
majority of the time. There are exceptions to that.
Yeah, there are definitely some exceptions to that. But I mean, Last of Us is good. I can't wait to play Horizon Zero Dawn, the Persona series, which I think, is it coming to Xbox? No, maybe.
I don't remember.
No, but those kind of series.
One of, like a Persona party game that was coming to Xbox.
Oh,
that's weird.
Yeah, but all three of the consoles are really starting to play on their strengths and kind of stick to what they are good at, which I hope they stick with this so that we can really start seeing these defined consoles, and then maybe somebody else could get in on making something, but I highly doubt it in this day and age.
I
do not see
it's too late.
You'd have to be just doing something crazy to justify another console between the Xbox and the PlayStation that would try to muscle in on also your PC market. I mean, like,
yeah,
because your PC market,
you would have to, if you could give people, like, with VR headset and all, and I'm talking all, for like $300 from day one, and everything graphically and everything. I mean, it had to be nuts. It had to be like, I'm talking Bloomberg spending shit, to subsidize to make sure the place doesn't go under, that type of thing. I mean, somebody with some money back behind it doesn't care if he's losing money for a little while before it picks up, type deal.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that Microsoft and Sony have pissed off enough to make that happen? I don't think so. I don't think so. And with the cloud system and stuff that, and now Sony's going to be using Microsoft's cloud system. So it's like, does it really matter what system we end up going with?
Now, what were you going to say, Baka?
I was going to say the Sega is the only one that might be able to pull it off just because of name recognition.
Yeah, they could do retro style games.
Sega's gonna have to retro style games.
It would be a small console like introduction. It'd be like,
but it would be one of those auxiliary things where it's like the little mini consoles that Nintendo released. It'd be something like that. They wouldn't be putting out new games.
Well, and then you have Atari's trying to get back into the market, and but the first thing they're releasing is all their old shit on top of that one, I think. So
yeah.
I don't see it happening.
Atari's focusing on hotels right now, so
yeah, gotta build its hotels.
Yeah, hotel industry first.
It's so fucking weird. I guess maybe they have one of those consoles in every room. Is that how that works?
Yeah, they actually said they're gonna have VR headsets in every room. They're gonna have a gaming arcade set up.
Yeah, we talked about that on the
cafe.
show that Oak was.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy what they're thinking about doing for these things.
That's good though.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a gamer and it was comparative, I would stay at an Atari hotel over a normal hotel because I think I would have a lot more fun at the hotel.
Yeah, but I guess it depends on where you're at. Like if you're somewhere like Universal, Disney, or somewhere like that, you get the hotel for a place to sleep. Your event, wherever you're at.
My argument. It depends on what you're doing.
You know what you do? You just don't sleep. You go out, you have fun at the park, you come home, you play games all night.
Here's one for you. We already know that in 2023 we're getting Nintendo's park, right? What if Atari was open?
Hotel? I'd rather stay at the Nintendo hotel than the Atari.
Yeah, but how funny would it be if Atari ends up buying land and opening up a freaking so you can stay at the Atari hotel and go to Nintendo Land?
Worth it. I'll do it. Sign me up.
You spend it's 5 days, 2 of which you spend in the park. The rest of the time you're in the hotel room playing Atari.
Well, to bring it back to all the PlayStation, Xbox stuff and everything, what do we think about the price point for PlayStation 5? Like, what your guesstimate? I think you've said it before was $500. But now we're finding out that the console's being manufactured for $450, which, I mean, wouldn't be surprising if it was $500. The PlayStation 4 was like $380 to make, and they sold it at $399.
Yeah.
With the way it says right here, Sony is also paying an unusually expensive amount per unit for the PS5's cooling system to ensure machines do not suffer from overheating. Thank you. First of all, thank you. Make sure you spend that money and make sure the console runs well. And as we have talked before, new technology is expensive when it first comes out.
Yes.
So these consoles that have fancy new
Usually
stuff in it
they're
are
at a
gonna
loss
be
anyway.
expensive.
Usually they're at a
Exactly.
loss anyway. So, because I mean, they've already spent however much money they've spent developing their consoles. In both cases, they've lost a ton of fucking money because they're putting it in for the development, and then they have to make it back within a certain amount of time. Which is one of the things with the Wii U, is the fact that when they were making it, they weren't able to make the money back that they'd put into it just to develop the part of it they did.
That's
so
because they didn't market it.
In which
now
case, the
Switch was
CEO took a pay cut, and instead of blaming anybody, he fucking took responsibility for it, which I got a lot of respect for. So, good on him.
Yeah, because it was either that or let people go, and he didn't want to let people go, right?
Yeah, not for his mistake, which what he calls his mistake. So.
Yep. Well, I mean, buck stops there, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So, much love for Nintendo.
I don't know. People seem to be freaking out about how much the PlayStation is going to cost, but I mean, I think it's one of
the
things where
same thing with VR, people.
every time a console comes out, everybody's like, it's so expensive. Well,
They're
that's what you
always
said last time
expensive.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Baka. They're always expensive when they first come out.
These are things that you don't have to live. I mean, they're technically luxury items, and they are going to come with luxury price tags. So,
Honestly, I think a lot of this, oh my goodness, is just internet being the internet.
yeah, it's a lot of faux outrage or repeat outrage because it got points last time,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think if the PlayStation 5 comes out at $500, people are going to buy it. And I mean, there might be some complaining about it, but you're going to buy it. That's just how it is. I think there'll be less and less overlap, though, as every console gets more expensive. There'll be less and less people that are willing to day one buy both. So, again,
I remember everybody bitching about the price of Nintendo, the NES, and I just looked it up just to see. So the bundle I got, which is the one that most people had, which was the Super Mario Brothers one, I'm sorry, I got the one from November of '88, which was it came with the Zapper gun, and so you could play it, and you had the two versions of, you had one Super Mario Brothers and one Duck Hunt or whatever. It was $150. And everybody complained about how expensive it was, right? And
what is the price inflation for now?
Yeah,
what would that cost now?
All right, so let's see.
Because I'm super interested to see what a Nintendo
it's really expensive.
Probably close to about 400.
400.
You think about $400? Any other guesses?
I'm gonna say 350.
I say closer to $600. That's
We're
brand
going
new
Price
technology.
is Right style. We're going Price is Right style.
All right, here we go. The price is. Whoops. You gotta type the right thing in.
Silence for a second. We'll talk. So it says something going on here.
No, wait. Where's it going? Where's the damn amount? You bastards. All right, $320.
I was closest. I said 350.
I was pretty far off.
So, well,
Yeah,
and you figure a Switch is what, $350?
Is it? I don't remember how much we paid for ours.
Yeah, so it's just increased in price based on inflation, right?
Yeah.
How much did you say?
I said
Well,
350.
the Switch is the lights. What 300?
Doesn't count. It's the light.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
We want the real one.
Sorry,
$299. The $299 is $300 for a Switch right now. So pretty much Nintendo's consoles has stayed about the same price.
So do the games, though. To be fair, like
Yeah, they've been relatively consistent.
And everybody wonders why Nintendo is such a fucking rock in this industry.
Well,
Like they make crack and splinter every now and then, but they come back together.
I like to see how
They're
much
super
their 3DS sales have dropped since the Switch came
Probably a lot.
Yeah, I was about to say probably significantly.
Speaking of sales dropping, apparently the sales for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are dropping faster than expected in the light of the announcements about the new consoles. It's like, well, why would people go out and buy a PlayStation 4 right now when PlayStation 5 is out next year? Like, why would you do that? I guess the idea is to catch people up if they haven't played the exclusives for things that are going to be sequels. But you could have, to be fair, I think the only one that's got a sequel that is currently announced and is a big deal is Last of Us, which you could have played on PlayStation 3. So who knows? Maybe you already experienced it.
Looks so much better on PS4 in my opinion, but
I mean,
it's
I
still
agree,
really good on PS3.
I'm saying you could have already played it.
That is true. It's true. Well, I mean, but I think that's too. I think it's where maybe what ends up happening is they'll end up with those overstocks, and then for 2 years we know they're being supported anyway. So when Series X comes out, and you'll have the Xbox One X or whatever that's there. It'll probably be like $150, and so you'll have a lot of people that go in and buy one because they can't afford the other or whatever, like they did with the 360.
I mean,
People
honestly, if they
years.
price drop that hardcore after the new consoles come out, I might just replace my current Xbox game for some of the ones that I just have, like, that were specifically for Xbox One if I need to. But then I'd probably have to evaluate whether or not I need to do that because I started buying everything on PC.
Yeah, I honestly, the
I don't
next
even know if I
console
would need
generation,
to.
I'm gonna honestly look to buy a PlayStation because some of the exclusives are really good, and then I can play all of the rest of Microsoft's
That was
games.
my
I'll
thought.
buy Microsoft games
Yeah.
on the PC still,
Yeah.
and then of course I've always got to have a Nintendo in the house. Gotta have at least one Nintendo in the house. And, I mean, that's pretty much it. You buy the Nintendo for the games and whatnot, and then you buy the Sony for their masterpieces and whatnot, and then you just play Microsoft games. That's pretty much how it is. Microsoft is my default games that I play. Sony are the movies that I like to watch, and Nintendo are the games that I like to go out and play.
Yeah.
It's like my outside stuff. They fill different needs, and that's okay. You don't have to own everything, and there's no war to be had anymore. Okay? Let's just call this truce and be done with the war of the consoles.
Except Xbox's controller is much better in my opinion. But whatever.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It just feels better. It's more ergonomic, assuming I'm using that word properly,
I
in
agree
the
with that.
hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that
mean,
we
hell,
could
that's
agree
why
on
I
where
like
all
to
the
play.
buttons go.
Oh shit, let me go ahead and throw shit around. My bad. You're just gonna
Why
yell
you
at
gotta
me
be throwing
later
stuff,
today?
man? What's up with that?
It's
I
a spray
always
bottle.
gotta
Got to keep the cats in line.
Lord have mercy. All right.
Oh, I guess
We wanna
before
talk-
we get out of here, there's as you can tell, there's some things that have changed about Chicken and I's house. I don't know what our upcoming
have chairs
schedule
anymore.
is gonna be like. We've got somebody coming on Monday theoretically to take a look
Tomorrow.
and oh yeah, I guess that is tomorrow, and give us some estimates because we're about to do remodels, which I know we mentioned previously. And so I don't know what this means for us because when they start doing remodels, I will have nowhere to put any of these things. So whilst Chicken can still stream and whatnot, I don't know what that means for the podcast and anything that I'm doing as far as Let's Plays and whatnot go. So I just wanted to throw that out there that I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the near future. So you need to join the Discord or watch us on Twitter so that you can keep up. Because there may be just an out of nowhere, okay, we're moving ahead with our remodels and we won't be around for a little while kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go ahead and put that thought in everybody's head.
Disclaimer out there.
Yeah. Because this is being completely, like, this whole area will be completely different. So all of my stuff will have to go away.
Elsewhere.
I don't even know
Don't worry,
where we're
we've
going to
got-
put it.
We've got got an idea of where we're gonna stick you. We're gonna make her own room, and she's gonna be
Well,
stuck somewhere
that's
else.
after everything else is done. So for the current, it probably means that I will not have access to my PC for a little while. I will have to play on my laptop, which will not be satisfactory for doing podcasts and things like that.
What?
So
We can still hook up. Your PC is just a console. We'll just stick it on a wall and plug it into the TV. Boom.
that's true. But I don't know what that would
mean,
mean
it-
for trying to do podcasts and stuff, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know what to tell you, but you'll
So-
still be able to have access to your PC.
So
I'll do
you
that
know,
because I could not do it myself, and I'm not going to subject you to being without your PC.
thanks. So just throwing that out there. Keep an eye on where you can get news from us, because I don't know when exactly things will change, but it could be at any point. Who knows? Surprise remodel.
The sooner the better. Hopefully we get
Yeah. everything
better, everything all worked out and clean and whatnot, and then we'll give you a house tour for the first time ever.
Yeah, we'll see. But But
Too
yes,
funny.
now you can go forth. Sorry.
We do appreciate everybody that hangs out with us each and every week at Infinite Respawn. As always, you can check us out on Twitter at Infinite Res PC. You can check me out personally at MDB Oak Tree. Check out Grif.
At Grif Baka.
Check out Chicken.
At Elite Chicken 313.
Check out Baka.
Baka Pickle.
Also, make sure you go to Grif's YouTube channel. And this is the prime time right now, folks. Because if there's this whole remodel that takes place, you could go back through her whole back catalog and watch all of it. This is the best thing to do.
But you might be able to make it through Red Dead.
I've got to make it through Red Dead. I keep forgetting to post videos because I have so many, like I'm doing 5 million things at a time right now. So those have been sporadic. Sorry.
So make sure you go on there, hit that follow button or subscribe button for her, please. And the little bell. Make sure you hit the bell. Hit the little bell so when she does get everything taken care of, or she decides to go ahead and post some stuff, you'll know. You know, works out perfect. Also, make sure you go to twitch.tv/Elite Chicken 313. Chicken, what you got this week?
Sekiro.
There we go.
Saltaro.
I was like, huh, what else am I gonna play? I'm absolutely infatuated with this game.
You're during the daytime. What time do you normally start?
I usually start around noon, maybe a little before. I
Central.
try not to go a little after, but yeah, start about noon Central. Maybe not tomorrow because, like she said, we've got somebody coming out. So,
But we don't know what time they're coming by. They're just call in the morning and let us know.
So keep an eye on Twitter.
Yeah, well, not Twitter. I don't even
keep an eye on
talk
Discord
Twitter
for him.
anymore.
All
Yeah.
the links.
If you're
for
interested in
Discord
me, get my Discord.
Yeah, there's
Get
usually
at me on Discord, bro.
wherever you're listening to this podcast or
sister.
watching it. There's probably a link right below it. So.
It's on your phone, people. You have phones, right?
Oh, shut up, Blizzard.
Discord on your phone.
Also, make sure that you go to mixer.com/MDB Oak Tree, where you can check me out. Where currently I am playing through the game Stranded with No Pants every Sunday. Kakarot, however long it takes me to get through that game. And then, of course, every Friday we do have Sea of Thieves. Everybody have a great day. For Infinite Respawn, I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Grif.
I'm Chicken.
Baka.
See you.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.